couple days ago, I suggested it might be a good idea to have two Bibles open. Today, if you had it, it'd actually be good to have three Bibles open. We are going to look at three passages of Scripture that deal with special commandments given by God for His people to live holy lives. Leviticus chapter 21, Numbers chapter 28, and Deuteronomy chapter 16. In each of these chapters, we have laws that are given to the people of Israel that have to do with righteous living. Now, there's something very, very important to remember. These are laws for the people of God. These are not laws that have really anything to do at all with people who do not live in a loving covenant relationship with God. That first relationship between God and man has to be done, established by God in a man or person's heart. Sometimes you hear someone say, I just don't think I could be a Christian because I just couldn't live that way. Well, that's understandable. I mean, it's sort of like looking, I suppose, at another family and all they do and how they live, and it must seem suffocating sometimes to imagine you just couldn't live in that family because it's not your family. But when it is your family, it looks completely different. And yes, love always gives up some rights. Love always limits itself. But when it's done because you love the family and you love the one who made you part of that family, it changes everything. Just remember that all the directions and limits that it seems like God puts on their life, they're never just to bind us, to torment us, to see how much we can bear. Rather, they're to keep us free. God, who made us, knows how we work and knows what doesn't work. And all He wants to do is bless us. God is holy and righteous, and if we're going to be close to Him, we need to pay careful attention to our lifestyle. And so it does matter what we eat, what we drink, how we offer sacrifices. Those are important to people and how they love and serve God. There's also some words here that describe what happens when people are asked to keep holy laws, and yet they don't really want to be holy, and they don't want to come close to God. Numbers 11 through 14, what a picture. It's a picture of God's people complaining. We will come back and focus more closely on the Scripture, but I think it's important to know that for today, the thing to make note of is that there is no profit in trying to keep the laws of God unless you do it because you love Him. Any kind of Christianity that's built upon just pressure and manipulation and forcing people to live under rules and laws without them understanding that all that has to flow out of a life of loving Him and adoring Him and worshiping Him, it's just counterproductive. It becomes legalism, and a whole lot of folks, because that's the only Christianity maybe they've ever seen, run from it because they've missed the whole point of what it's at its heart. They just see all these rules and heavy responsibilities, and they've missed the part that really motivates all that makes it a joy in our life. The word sanctification, it's a big word in Leviticus. It means to be set apart, and it's closely related to all these laws and rules. It's part of how they were meant to live. Also, there's a word here about the three kinds of peace offerings, more directions about that. Then there's another thing we have mentioned here, and that's the Jewish calendar. It's important to note that every single month of the Jewish calendar, there was something in that month that was meant to remind the people and to bring to their mind their special relationship and fellowship which they had with God. For example, Nisan is the month in which the Passover was observed. But throughout the year, there were these occasions, these festival after festivals that linked the people of Israel to Yahweh. You and I are to live knowing that month by month, week by week, it all belongs to Him. And some of the Christian traditions we have of special festivals can help us keep that in mind. But whether you observe those or make much or little of them, keeping much of that every day belongs to Him certainly is important. The scripture today is Hebrews chapter 10. Begin with verse 1. For since the law has but a shadow of the good things to come, instead of the true form of these realities, it can never, by the same sacrifices that are continually offered every year, make perfect those who draw near. Otherwise, they would not have ceased to be offered, since the worshippers, having once been cleansed, would no longer have any consciousness of sins. But in these sacrifices there is a reminder of sins every year. For it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Consequently, when Christ came into the world, He said, "Sacrifices and offerings you have not desired, but a body have you prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sin offerings you have taken no pleasure. Then I said, Behold, I have come to do your will, O God, as it is written of me in the scroll of the book. Then he said above, You have neither desired nor taken pleasure in sacrifices and offerings and burnt offerings and sin offerings. These are offered according to the law.